Hello, Chucklefucks. It's your boy, Dark Raku here with What If Issei had Overhaul. Now, I'm talking about the Quark Overhaul and maybe the villain, but yeah, not the point. Mostly, he has Overhaul. Now, if you don't know what Overhaul is, if I can remember right, I have really never watched. Well, I have watched My Hero Academia one time. I just stopped watching after a while. Mostly, I don't remember what season was it called. Overhaul came on. I don't remember. I stopped watching it and I stopped reading the manga, so yeah, I don't actually know where they're at, but yeah, whatever. Well, yeah, so of course, I will explain a little bit about what Overhaul is. Overhaul can just disassemble and reassemble stuff or repair stuff, but yeah, with the ability of just touching things. So if he just touches one thing, it's going to be destroyed. He can also repair it back again. He can either go change it into its original form or just reshape it into whatever the fuck he wants to be. He can also do this to his own body, being able to kind of heal himself. Like if he gets stabbed in the arm, he can just touch it with his arm or his other hand and just repair that shit, and it would just look like brand new, or kind of just fix the muscles to become much stronger. So yeah, that's what Overhaul is. So, not the point. Let me begin into this. What if I am going to just do this kind of short and then go to sleep a little bit, but yeah, before I have to go to work or something. But yeah, other than that, let me just begin and shut the fuck up. But I also have another what if that I just thought of. Now, it's mostly kind of a fusion with Tokyo Revenge or Madaka Box. Yes, I haven't really done that many Madaka Box what ifs, but yeah. But Zenkichi might be able to use something called Dark Impulse. No, just kidding. But I'll do something what if like that later, maybe when I actually rewatch Madaka Box, because I don't remember what happened again. Sorry, I since I don't do many Madaka Box what ifs, I forget easily. But yeah. So let me begin into this what if. We go into mostly I was about to say Zenkichi, but no. Oops, sorry. We go into a brown-haired boy with kind of brownish eyes. Well, kind of brownish eyes. They're actually kind of a yellowish, but mostly they're like brownish, goldenish. But yeah, this is where, well, he just kind of got in the incident of getting his ass kicked by, well, a couple of girls, mostly Kendo girls, thanks to two perverts accidentally tripping his ass when he was actually kind of getting to the bathroom. So yeah, of course, where, well, Issei gets up, because yes, this guy is Issei. And this is where when Issei gets up, the girls call him a pervert, but really Issei didn't do jack. Actually, Issei didn't even peep on them at all. He's not much of a pervert, unlike his two friends, his two idiotic friends, which he doesn't really consider them as friends because they're noisy and loud as hell half the time, which pisses him off. But yeah, but they are close to kind of whatever. He can easily manipulate them later in whatever plan he wants to do. But yeah, he can easily just make them go fucking throw themselves off a fucking bridge later. He doesn't care. But yeah, this is where, well, Issei Hyodo is actually a normal child, you could say. Well, kind of a normal child. There's actually an incident, well, not even an incident. There's something that's wrong with him a little bit. He usually wears gloves, mostly plastic gloves on his hand all the time. Plastic white gloves or even black, but it doesn't matter. They can be leather or whatever. But of course, he never does show his hands. Even if he does, it's kind of weird. They look regular, but of course, he always wears the gloves. Every single day. He wears the gloves every single day. But he also wears a black mask every single day. He doesn't like showing his face most of the time. But yeah. This is where, well, not many people question about why he doesn't do this, but because he's considered one of the trio perverts. But that's just because Issei doesn't want to be bothered. He doesn't like being bothered by anyone. So of course, if he has to be be made as the most hated person in the entire school, that would be good for him. Because if he was popular in other things, he would have been bothered on a daily basis by girls, guys, or mostly girls that just would try to ask him out most of the damn time. Guys would just hate his life and just fucking anything. He hates it. He doesn't like it. He just rather it be quiet. Very quiet, because he just doesn't like this fucking place anyway. The only reason he only came to this school is because of his parents. His parents wanted him to kind of go to a good school and, of course, like have lots of friends. But when Issei kind of joined, he didn't really have friends and he'd rather be quiet. But still, decent grades he has. But yeah, he has pretty decent grades. He doesn't try that hard on school. Even if he wants to try, he'd rather not. Because if he tried, mostly it's going to be noisy again. And he wants it to be quiet. Quiet enough so he would actually be able to hear his thoughts. But yeah, or just be able to nap. But yeah, this is where, well, Issei is mostly a guy who kind of wears the school uniform, kind of unbuttoned, doesn't really mind or doesn't really care about looking kind of good. This is where he has a black t-shirt, but yeah, this is, well, not a black t-shirt, but it's like black or red sometimes, but yeah, crimson red because he kind of likes the color blood. But of course, that's not the point. He's always kind of not really with the trio of perverts. If people can actually see this, he's not always with a trio of perverts. He's not even peeping with the girls or anything. He just tells his friends to just kind of say whatever rumors or whatever that will make him kind of be hated by everyone, but not be annoyed by everyone at the same time. So mostly his friends do that half the time, throw him under the bus. And of course, mostly everyone doesn't like Issei. That's how Issei's life is. Which Issei doesn't care. He doesn't really care at all. But we go into one incident where Issei kind of managed to get to the bathroom, but actually, well, he was actually, when he got to the bathroom, he kind of used it. And that's a little complex, don't worry about that. But of course, to take off one of his gloves just to kind of repair his body. Mostly he touches his body. And of course, he repairs all injuries that he had. Of course, he puts his glove back in and doesn't wear it well, or mostly his glove back on his hand, and went outside the bathroom. This is where he noticed a person with black hair, or mostly, yeah, blackish hair, kind of bluish a little bit. But of course, mostly she had violet eyes, glasses on, and of course, if you already know who this person is, or mostly everyone knows this person to be named of, what was it called? This is where, well, her name is Kaichu. Mostly she's the president, or council president of the school. And this is where, well, she noticed Issei and Issei noticed her. While Issei kind of just ignored her by just walking by. For some reason, Sona felt quite interested on Issei. Well, the only reason why she's interested on Issei is because Issei is not the same pervert, or even, what's it called, as rumor says, the worst person in the school. Which he's not. He's just quiet and rather not be bothered most of the time. This is where when Issei walks past her, Issei seems not to even glance at her once. He just didn't care. He just walked by and didn't really care. This is where, well, Sona kind of just decided to kind of be brave. Maybe the rumors are false or anything. But this is where she kind of asks Issei to stop. This is where Issei turns around, looks at her with just an uncaring look, and this is where Issei then started just keep walking because he doesn't want to be bothered. Even if the student president asks him to stop, he just doesn't want to be bothered. Which makes him kind of meh. He just doesn't care. This is where, well, Sona kind of asked Issei to stop again, but this is where Issei just completely ignored her and was just going to class. This is where, well, or not even class. He was just thinking of just going up to the roof and just hearing music and kind of like going to sleep or something. But yeah. This is where, well, Issei just basically ignores her entire life and just didn't care. This is where, well, we go into Issei kind of getting up to the rooftop. But of course, this is where, well, some people are already at the rooftop. And that is none other than, what's it called, well, mostly a female. This is where, well, she was kind of talking to someone else, mostly a girl with kind of brownish hair. She had glasses. Well, mostly her hair was always kind of messy and other things. But of course, she had glasses and hazelish eyes. This is where she kind of had the uniform, but of course, it was kind of tight or mostly hugging her body, which made her kind of look kind of slutty, but yeah. This is where, well, the other person was a girl with kind of blondish hair with two ponytails. This is where, well, she kind of had blondish rose hair and of course, dullish blue eyes, and they were kind of talking. This is where when they noticed Issei kind of just closed the door and said, nope. Not happening. I don't care. Too noisy. Too loud. This is where Issei decides to just kind of go off to walk somewhere else, just somewhere quiet. He doesn't care where it is. He doesn't care if it has to be outside the damn school. He wants somewhere to be so quiet. This is where he puts on headphones just because now that he's kind of annoyed him. Just, yeah. Well, not headphones, mostly earbuds. And the song that he's hearing right now is called, So this is where, well, the song is called Lost in the Echo, or Echo. Well, made by, what's it called? Yeah, made by Linkin Park. For some reason I wanted to say Pink, but yeah, not Linkin Park. So of course, where, well, he's hearing that song, and of course he's trying to get to somewhere quiet where there's not too many bothersome people. Actually, there's no one to be bothersome, so of course this is where, well, he gets to a quiet place, being outside, and sitting on the bench. And this is where, well, he closes his eyes right now, kind of like thinking of something, but yeah. This is where, well, he's saying, but yeah, he's not really thinking, he just fell asleep. But yeah, this is where, well, someone kind of went up to him and mostly touched him on the shoulder, mostly tapped him on the shoulder, which made Issei woke up extremely fast. And this is where Issei kind of grabbed the person's hand with an annoyed kind of grip, or mostly gripping their hand with an annoyed look. This is where, well, Issei noticed who it was, and it was none other than another, well, mostly an Onisan for the school. And her name was Akano. She had bluish hair, kind of bluish black hair, kind of purplish magenta violet eyes. This is where, well, her kind of figure is pretty, yeah, you get the point. This is where, well, mostly Issei said, "What do you want?" With such an uncold, emotionless voice. This is where, not uncold, cold, emotionless voice, because she just doesn't give a damn. This is where, well, mostly Akano says, "Were you meditating? Also, can you let go of my hand? You're crushing it." This is where Issei kind of lets go of her, but of course just pushes her hand away. Of course, this is where, well, mostly Akano was surprised to actually see that Issei was actually stronger than he looks, because he doesn't really go out into, or, well, go out to either work out or whatever, unlike normal guys, unlike his two friends also, because people do kind of go into the gym because the boys are required to kind of look kind of fit, but Issei doesn't look like he even wants to even go into the gym or work out or do whatever. He kind of is failing gym. He just doesn't do anything. He doesn't take off his clothes. He doesn't kind of put into the gym clothes. He really doesn't care. So yeah, he kind of fails that class pretty easily. But of course, even though he's failing it, he looks extremely fit for someone who just doesn't work out. But of course, well, Akano was surprised to actually feel a strong grip. Now, of course, this is where she did feel the leathery glove that Issei is wearing most of the time. But of course, well, she kind of just says, "Still, were you sleeping or meditating?" Issei says, "None of your business. Now please stop annoying me. Go away." This is where, well, Akano says, "Well, that's mean. Why would you kind of tell a pretty girl like me to go away?" "Because if you don't go away, people would just be noisy and bothersome. So go away." This is where, well, Akano was surprised. Issei seems to just really not like people in general. It seems that he just doesn't like loud places. And if Akano is here, he's mostly going to be bothered by the entire school population. He wants to keep this in wrap and rather kind of just push people away. This is where Akano says, "Ara ara. So you don't like people? So if I sit here, what will you do?" Issei gets up and walks away without a care in the world. This is where, well, Akano just says, "Wait, huh?" This is where, well, she was surprised to actually see how Issei just gets up and walk away. Not a care in the world. It's not his spot anyway. His original spot will actually be quiet, and of course, there's not many people going up there. Well, it's mostly the top of the roof, but of course, there's like two people up there, and he'd rather not share that spot with those two people because, well, he doesn't know how loud they are. Well, he does know. He knows that one is named Junko, Junko and Nishima, while the other one is named Aika Kira. And of course, he knows how loud Aika is. Mostly, she's a pervert. Well, she's a perverted girl, but of course, well, she's like supposed to be kind of the same equal amount of pervertedness as a pervert trio. Well, mostly as Issei's words, the other two perverts. He's just someone that he doesn't really care. But yeah, this is where, well, Issei is just walking away without a care in the world. This is where Issei is yawning because he is kind of tired. He did kind of stay up last night about mostly researching on some stuff, but yeah. This will work well. You say y'all to you anything. Well, class is almost over. Well, mostly my 5th hour. I can't wait for this whole school day to finish over. I'm tired. This is where, well, Issei yawns again. But this is where, well, mostly someone, well, he accidentally bumped into someone. And this is where it's none other than a white-haired girl with kind of these yellow eyes. And this is where, well, she's supposed to be in, what's it called, freshman year or something. And this is where, well, Issei notice her. And this is where, well, both of them just look at each other with an emotionless look. This is where, well, the girl is none other than Koneko, and this is where Issei kind of just like gets up, kind of gives her a hand somewhat, and this is where, well, mostly she takes it. He pulls her up. This is where, well, Issei then just walks away without caring the world. He doesn't say anything. Koneko doesn't say anything. They're both emotionless. They don't care. This is where, well, but Koneko is kind of just blushing a little bit because, well, mostly that's the first time that she ever met someone else that's emotionless and doesn't care. She has heard of rumors about, what's it called, Issei being a pervert, but it doesn't seem Issei is also a pervert, but mostly someone else with an emotionless look. This is where, well, she can't tell from much, but she knows that, what's it called, Issei doesn't have any intentions of being a pervert or anything, but yeah. This is where, well, we go into Issei getting towards his next, what's it called? Well, mostly not next class. Well, yeah, next class. Because 5th hour was none other than gym, but he was ditching it because he just didn't care. He gets to his next class, and the next class is 6th hour, but science. Which, this is the only class that's actually quite interesting. And it's not science, it's kind of like chemistry, but at the same time being, what's it called? What was the other one? What was it called? Fuck, I can't remember. Why can't I remember my sophomore years? I can't remember that one fucking class. Biologic or something, I don't know. But of course, well, he still was paying attention. Of course, this is the only class that he pays attention. But he can answer some of the questions pretty easily because he knows a lot about the human anatomy. But the one thing is for sure, he's not going to say it out loud because he will get more attention. So when the teacher asks him about it, Issei kind of says, don't know. This is where, well, the teacher says, well, pay attention more. This is where he says, I got it. This is where Issei just makes sure that he is not getting too much fame or any of that. He's making sure that he's hated, but he's not that hated, where it will make him, well, mostly a bothersome target or whatever. This is where, well, we go into mostly Issei after class, but before Issei was kind of leave after class, the teacher asked him to stop for a second. And this is where, well, Issei kind of looks at the teacher with kind of mostly an uncaring look. She's actually a female. This is where, well, she kind of has this brownish hair, like brownish, kind of whitish hair. She's not old. She's actually in her, like, late 30s, or not even late 30s. She's actually, like, in her kind of late 20s to, what's it called? Well, early 30s, but yeah. This is where, well, she has glasses and she does have, well, her eye color is actually a quite rare color. It's actually a, like, orangey red color, but yeah. This is where, well, she kind of asks Issei to stop for a second. This is where, well, she kind of just, like, is sitting down at her table, and this is where Issei sits down in front of her. This is where, well, Issei says, yes, do you need something, Miss, what the hell should I call it? What's it called? This is where, well, he calls her, Miss, Sina. This is where, well, Sina kind of just says, okay, so I'm just here to talk to you about your grades, and of course, how should I say, you paying attention. This is where, well, he says that, what do you mean paying attention? I do pay attention. Or he doesn't say that out loud. He just kind of just look at her. This is where, well, Sina kind of just goes on saying, I know that you pay attention, but all the questions I ask you to, you don't seem to answer them. It's like you know them, but you don't want to answer them. Like you want to be a target or any of that. This is where, well, you say kind of just kind of lift up his arms, kind of saying, I don't know what you're talking about. This is where, well, Sina says, okay, I know that you're, in my class, you have a grade A. And of course, I know that you're holding back on your potential of learning more. Or mostly not kind of practicing with others, because this class is supposed to be a group assignment class, but every time when I assign groups, you decide to just dip on the groups and decide to go solo most of the time. Which I don't mind you going solo most of the time, but make sure to at least go with a group and talk at least for a little bit before just going off the, what's it called, just off the radar. This is where, well, most of the people in this class do not want you to be in their group because they think that you just slack off most of the time, which that's not the case. And I know that you just turn in a separate sheet of paper or mostly separate work. This is where, well, Issei said, I do not know what you're talking about. Clearly I slack off. This is where, well, Issei kind of just said with such an emotionless kind of tone, which of course this teacher is surprised with Issei's tone because Issei doesn't really talk that much, but of course when he does talk it's kind of emotionless, and of course meh, he doesn't care that much. But yeah, this is where the teacher sighs and says, just try to make at least talk for once. Issei kind of just shake his head saying no, and this is where Issei gets up and just walks away. This is where, well, the teacher sighs and says, what am I gonna do with him? Of course, in every other class, this is where she kind of goes up to, what's it called, Issei's kind of profile and all his grades in class. This is where it says Issei Hiro. That's his kind of like name. It's like, mostly it says his name. It has a picture of him having a mask, even though the person who was trying to take the picture told Issei to take off the mask, but Issei just gave the middle finger and didn't care. Yeah, Issei didn't really care that much. He kept on the mask. He doesn't care. It never comes off. Of course, it worked well. He also has a condition of, yeah, he can't really take off the mask or kind of the mostly what it called gloves, because there's a condition that he kind of has a disease somewhat, or a rare disease where, yeah, he can't take it off. It's written by a fucking doctor somehow, and of course, this is where it's a medical approved. He can't take it off. This is where, well, which makes everything kind of more complex with Issei, but yeah, because first of all, does he have someone in his family that can actually write that shit for him? Maybe. Just kidding. Maybe. This is where, well, Issei kind of also, whereas mostly he doesn't look to be good looking or anything. He kind of just makes sure that he doesn't look that good looking. This is where, well, Issei just doesn't care about a lot of things. This is where, well, we go into mostly his gender, male. This is where, well, age, 17. This is where we go into graduation year. He's about to graduate in this year and that year. But yeah, this is where, well, his grades, mostly his GPA was something like, pretty, kind of decent, okay? I don't know what kind of grade that is because I never got a decent grade of GPA, whatever. But of course, where, well, his grades in all his classes, first hour, C, second hour, C, third hour, C, fourth hour, B. This is where, well, fifth hour, F. Yes, it's gym, and he just didn't care. And attendance on that is just like, man, he hasn't been there for a couple of fucking days. Yes, he just doesn't care. This is where, well, 6 hour, which is her class, A. Mostly it's like A and almost S, because it's like absolute really good. He actually does pay attention, does do a lot of stuff. He just doesn't talk. That's the problem and why it's keeping it from being an S, or not an S, mostly it's B, but B at kind of like 89%, 89.9%. Like, he just doesn't talk. That's the one problem and the one thing that is kind of needed for this class, but it just, yeah, no. And 7th hour, it's actually a pretty good A. Yeah, it's an A, which is surprising. All his other classes, it seems to be kind of average, not average, but yeah, you get the point. Just in between. But of course, some of them kind of exceed to be a B, and just the last class, well, mostly 5th hour is not shows to be average or anything. He just doesn't try. He doesn't practice. He doesn't talk. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't care. Just to where, well, mostly what's it called? Issei, for his 7th hour, it's called Robotics, and of course, he has an A on that shit. Now, of course, we go into Issei getting into his robotic class. This is where the teacher is kind of going on, and of course, yes, Issei was kind of late because it's in the other side of the fucking class, or mostly in the, not other side of the class, in the other side of the school. But of course, Issei didn't ran there, he didn't just care, he just walked in such a calm pace. Of course, this is where, well, mostly Issei was getting to his class. Of course, Sanji did block him, because when the bell did ring, Issei was still not in his class. Sanji did block him for a couple of minutes, telling him just to get to class, or get detention or something. Issei said that he's literally walking to his class, which he just said that with such an emotionless kind of tone, which kind of startled Sanji a little bit because Sanji hasn't really kind of met that much time or hasn't really talked or even met with Issei that much. But of course, Issei was such an annoyed tone because most of the teachers annoying him, everyone's annoying him. This whole day has been such a bothersome day. But yeah, does it work well? We go into mostly Issei kind of just walking past Sanji without a care in the world, and when he gets to class, the teacher does open the door. He was kind of like giving out a speech and other things about like lecture and all that. Of course, it worked well when Issei kind of like walked through. The teacher says, "Ah, you're here. I thought you were going to be ditching my class. I was about to start kind of being sad since I thought you were literally going to start ditching my class like you ditched what's it called, mostly gym." Issei kind of just chuckles a little bit and says, "Why would I ever ditch your class? This is the only class where I don't need to fucking do group projects." This is where, well, the teacher says, "Well, speak of the devil, I am going to start doing group projects, so you can't really start doing solo projects, Issei." This is where Issei opens the door and was about to walk away, and this is where the teacher, his name is John, and this is where John says, "Wait, hold up. Let me explain." This is where, well, most of the other students were surprised to see Issei was literally about to just turn around and walk away. Of course, it's the first time to see Issei kind of chuckle because Issei doesn't really get there late. He gets there early. He just gets to the booth that he needs to work on, most of his robots, and you never see him again. Unless he needs some supplies on his robots, you will see him a case, mostly in the classroom, but it's kind of rare. It's kind of rare to see him chuckle. It seems this teacher is the only teacher that he kind of likes. And because he just doesn't do any group projects. This is where, this is where Mr. John kind of just says, "Okay, Issei, can you sit down?" Issei does sit down. He goes towards one of the back seats, which some people can really never use the back seats because, well, those seats are only used for mostly, people that are really, like, have really good grades in robotics, or they are also in another kind of classroom because this robotics classroom has robotics. Well, mostly the teacher works on robotics, but also manufacturing. But yeah, doesn't work well. Issei, he doesn't have manufacturing, he has robotics. But yeah, doesn't work well. Issei sits on one of the comfy chairs because this is one of the comfy chairs. This is where some of the students are surprised to see him actually sit on that chair because they don't actually know what grade he has in this class. They do know that in fucking gym he has one of the worst grades, that being an F. And if it could even go any lower, it would have probably went any lower. But yeah, but of course Issei, he just sits on one of the chairs, really without a care in the world. And of course someone else is sitting next to him, mostly a girl with kind of like blackish long hair. Of course, she always has this kind of rose on top of her hair. Issei does know who she is, but of course, she has kind of red eyes. This is where, well, she wears this kind of like goth outfit for a little bit, but mostly, similar. But yeah, because mostly in this class, mostly in robotics, you can just wear any outfit to kind of just comfortable. You don't really need to wear the school uniform, but yeah. And since it's the end of the day hour, you really don't need to really wear the uniform, but yeah. So of course, Issei isn't wearing what's called his actual uniform clothes because, of course, some of the students here do kind of wear the uniform clothes because they didn't really bring a second pair of change or any of that. But mostly Issei's original clothes that he will wear mostly in this class is mostly like a green coat with some fluff on on top, mostly purple fluff, mostly on top of the green coat. A black shirt with kind of black shirt, but yeah. Of course, wearing some black pants, but yeah. This is where, and black shoes, don't worry about that. But this is where, the other person who's sitting next to Issei does have palish skin. She wears a mask also. And of course, she wears kind of like these fingerless gloves, but yeah, leather fingers gloves. This is where, the teacher goes on with explaining about the group projects will be, mostly a group of 2. Of course, this is where, Issei kind of just said, "Fuck it, I can deal with one person, can't I?" This is where, Mr. John kind of said, "Okay, I also, before we go on with we'll see the group project and how it's going to work, you can actually choose the person that you want to work with it's only a group of 2, not 4, not 3, not nothing, okay? Just 2. So, of course, this project will be mostly to build a robot that can rescue people from a high-placed building. Now, of course, we have, well, I haven't set up the, what's it called, situation or something, but if you get this grade, you will be able to boost your grade further by 200 points, but yeah. Of course, if you fail, then your original score grade or whatever will probably drop to an F or whatever. If you have a C, or yeah, you get the point. If you have a C, you probably go up to an A. If you have a C, you probably go up to an F if you fail. But yeah, pass or fail, whatever. Does it work? Well, mostly Mr. John went to go get like a piece of paper, and of course, where he decides to put down teams, of course, the team names, and this is where, well, one of the team names is called, what's it called? Well, there's Alpha, Beta, and what's it called, Alpha, Beta, Omega. Then there's other names, or mostly those names are just some of the names that he's telling them to kind of name themselves. But yeah, this is where some people actually became leaders. But yeah, and actually wanted to work with their friends, or yeah, you get the point. Boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever. This is where when Issei came up to the board, because, well, he doesn't really have a group or any of that. He just kind of wanted to write his name by itself. But Mr. John noticed that Issei was alone, and, well, the other person that was actually sitting close to Issei was also alone, but they don't really talk. That's the only conclusion. They don't really talk at all. Of course, Mr. John says, well, Issei, it seems that there's no one else to be a group assigned. Issei says, thank God. But you have, what's it called, Maida next to you. Sorry, he says, fuck, I forgot about her entirely. I thought someone choose her. This is where, well, Mr. John says, but still, you can always be a group signed with her. That's where he says, don't want to. He says, under his breath. Mr. John managed to catch up, but this is where he writes Issei's name and even Maida's name together. This is where, well, he then says, so what do you want the name of this group to be? Issei thinks for himself for a little bit, but yeah. Issei kind of just says, Shi Hasakai will be fine. This is where, well, Mr. John says, interesting name, isn't that a Yakuza name? Whatever. I guess that'll be the name then. This is where, well, Issei nodded. This is where, well, Issei says, so I can work by myself, right? This is where Mr. John says, no. This is where, well, he does call Maida's name mostly up to his desk, which Maida does go up, but yeah, and this is where, well, Mr. John does explain towards Issei and Maida and what they have to do. Now, of course, this is where, well, both Maida and Issei just looks at each other, with both kind of being, well, mostly Issei's emotionless eyes looking at Maida's eyes, which Maida does have kind of, what's it called, she also had somewhat of an emotionless look, and this is where, well, Issei kind of says, it seems that we're going to be working together, Maida. Even though we don't actually get along, do we? This is where Issei questioning if Maida actually will work with him. And this is where Maida kind of just shook her head a little bit, which Issei was hoping for a, no, we don't work together at all. This is where, well, Mr. John noticed what Issei was going to do, but of course, luckily Maida kind of just shook her head saying that we will work together, but yeah. This is where, well, Mr. John says, well, it's decided. Both of you will have to work on the project, okay? After, well, your own projects, okay? This is where Issei says, fine. This is where, well, they both go off to kind of go into their booth and work on their single robots before going into the group project, but yeah. Of course, everyone else is starting on the group project because, first of all, everyone was already bored enough with their minds off the single project, but yeah. This is where, well, Issei was about to finish his, like, what's it called, mostly single project until Maida kind of knocks at his booth, which startled him, but of course, this is where Issei gets, turns around and says, yes, do you need something, Maida? This is where Maida kind of, well, looked at him and blushes a little bit. This is where, well, Issei said, do you need something? Maida just shook their head and just walked away. That's where he says, that's the weirdest encounter I ever met. Don't care. This is where Issei goes off to actually finish his, what's it called, project. And when he finishes project, this is where, well, he doesn't present to the class. After class, he presents it to Mr. Johnson. Well, Mr. John. This is where John kind of said, And you didn't do this in front of everyone because I was still fixing some things and tweaking some stuff. Issei said. This is where, well, Mr. John says, yeah, I believe you when that's complete bullcrap. I know that you just waited until everyone left. This is where, well, Issei chuckles and says, I guess you caught me red-handed, didn't you? This is where, well, we'll see, well, Mr. John noticed that Maida didn't really left. And this is where, well, Mr. John says, well, do you want to test the robot? Issei nodded. This is where, well, Mr. John says, hey Maida, do you want to come actually watch Issei's project? Issei wanted his eyes, thinking that Maida already left. But of course, Maida kind of just looked at Issei, and of course, John. She nodded slowly, and of course, kind of went off to kind of see it. This is where Issei kind of finished his project to be kind of good, and of course, not explode or any of that, but yeah. Does it work well? Maida kind of nod an improvement that's actually pretty good. And of course, of the robot's kind of destruction path a little bit, but yeah. Because the single project was supposed to destroy stuff, mostly a robot to destroy stuff. But of course, it worked well. It didn't destroy itself, it managed to destroy the kind of props and other things. Does it work well? We'll see Mr. John nod and says, good job, Issei. You managed to do something really good. Does it work well? Mr. John says, that will be 100. Now, Maida, are you done with yours? Maida nodded, and of course, it worked well. She showed off her robot, which is kind of somewhat like a rose, until it transforms into being a robot that actually has multiple, what's it called, like these tentacles that are supposed to be like whips or anything, that just lashes through a bunch of like props and easily destroys them. This is where Mr. John says, okay, good. Well, you two should be leaving, and make sure not to fall in love with together when you're doing your group project. This is where both Maida and Issei's face becomes a little tint of red. This is where Mr. John chuckles and just goes off to his computer to put the grade in. But yeah, this is where, well, Issei kind of walks out first because he just doesn't want to be bothered entirely. But yeah, of course, we go into Issei and what's it called, Maida just walking beside each other. But yeah, Maida does also leave, but yeah. Not the same time, but they managed to somehow be beside each other. This is where, well, when Issei went to go open the door, it seems the door was locked, which Issei was surprised. This is where, well, Maida also tried the other side of the door, but that was also locked. This is where, well, the light suddenly turned off and made both Maida and Issei kind of just wondered what the hell happened. But yeah, even though it's after school stuff, well, mostly after school classes, mostly all the after school classes are usually in the axles, or some of them are outside, like some of the gym stuff or whatever. But yeah, Issei was confused, but mostly both Maida and Issei looked around until something was actually rushing towards Issei and Maida. This is where it looked to be like a kind of demonic figure somewhat. This is where, well, it was on all four legs and actually rushing towards Maida and Issei. This is where Maida won her eyes, and this is where she kind of got worried about how Issei is reacting to this, because mostly she's not scared, but of course mostly Issei seems to just have an uncaring look. But of course the thing is rushing towards him with high speed and having its mouth widened and having sharp teeth, and this is where, well, it's trying to bite at Issei or Maida. This is where, well, Issei managed to push Maida away by just pushing her back, but yeah, of course, accidentally does touching her in her kind of like chest area. But of course, this is where she kind of blushes, but confusing in what Issei was doing. Issei kind of just pushed her away, and this is where Issei takes off his like glove, was slowly taking it off, and this is where, well, mostly mostly Maida has never seen Issei take off his glove. Actually, no one in the school has seen it. But when, the creature was getting closer, Issei basically takes off his glove. And of course, when the creature slowly gets so close, like very close, Issei basically just touches it. Just touches it once. And this is where, well, the creature mostly itself exploded into blood. Just kaboom. This is where, well, Issei says, "Be gone, you damn lousy, annoying creature," he said under his breath, but Maida managed to hear it. This is where, well, Issei then kind of puts his hand, mostly back into the glove, and looks at Maida with an uncaring look, and just decides to walk away. Mostly opens the door, but of course it's still not budging. So of course Issei basically just touches it. Well, mostly removes his hand again, touches the door, and it explodes. Well, not explodes, it mostly just destroys. This is where Issei says, "Are you gonna come at any time, or are you just gonna sit there?" This is where Maida noticed what. Well, now there's a free exit, so of course she like walks out the door, even though there's no door no more. This is where Issei then touches the door, or mostly the spot where it'll be at, and just reforms it into kind of looking backwards. Yeah, Issei fucked it up, but Issei didn't care that much. This is where Issei is now walking away, of course having his hand back into the glove, and of course walking away. This is where, well, Maida was actually going to question a little bit about what he just did, but of course, yeah, there's like, yeah, no, whatever. This is where, well, someone actually does see this kind of situation happen. It was mostly an exorcist that actually see this, because, well, there's exorcists, devils, fallen angels in this school, or, well, not an exorcist, mostly a fallen angel. She actually noticed what happened, and of course, she was so confused in what really happened. Mostly a devil strain managed to get into the school, but of course, it was destroyed in an instant by Issei, a human. Supposedly human, but mostly that was the weirdest ability that she have ever seen. It wasn't made with magic, it wasn't even a sacred gear. It was just gone. Just destroyed. Of course, she then saw how Issei did it. Mostly it seems that he can destroy objects, but then reform them. And it doesn't look that great, but yeah. Because, well, she knows the door was upside down. It was backwards, but yeah. This is where it was upside down and backwards. But yeah, Issei didn't really care how the door looked like. He was already tired. He didn't care. He went home already. This is where, well, the person was surprised to see this situation happen. But of course, when she opens the door, because she can always just use some magic to kind of like push it. And of course, she does decide to leave. She spreads out not six wings. She spreads out kind of 2 wings out from her back. But they're not just black. She's a fallen angel, but they're not just black. They're actually black, but a dullish blue color. This is where, well, she decided to just fly away and kind of just go home, but yeah. But of course, this is not the only person that kind of noticed this kind of situation. Someone else actually noticed this because she was about to kind of use her destruction magic just to kind of, well, not destruction magic, her water magic to kind of destroy the kind of rogue devil from actually hurting some of her students. Well, 2 of her students, because she is kind of the student council president. But when she noticed, was it called the fallen angel, not doing anything, mostly kind of just sitting over there. Of course, the fallen angel was going to make a light spear to destroy the rogue devil. But of course, this is where the other devil mostly was actually about to use her water magic to destroy what's called the rogue devil. But when Issei just touches the devil with his hand, mostly takes it off from his glove, mostly his hand from his glove, and just touches the devil, the rogue devil, it just explodes into blood, making unsure in what Issei entirely is. But Issei then just walked away. But yeah, but managed to get out by not punching the door, but just destroying it and reforming it upside down backward. Yeah, you get the point. This is where, well, we go into Issei kind of getting home, and of course, this is where, well, Issei said, I'm almost home. I don't need to be bothered by anything. This is where, well, Issei gets to his house, and of course, this is where, well, he opens it with the door, well, mostly a key, and of course, this is where, well, he walks in, and there's no one there. He did find a note saying that they're going on vacation, and of course, that they will see Issei next month. Yeah, Issei said. Of course, they would just go on vacation. So annoying. Wait, they're on vacation. I can just ditch the whole school hour and then come at a certain day. You want? Tomorrow's Friday. I'm just gonna ditch it. I don't care. This is where Issei thinks in his head and says, well, time to go upstairs. He goes upstairs and falls asleep. This is where the next day happens, and when Issei wakes up, he says, what time is it? He saw it's 10 o'clock and says, let me go back to sleep a little bit more. This is where, well, he didn't realize that he had school, but this is where Issei said, I don't care. This is where Issei falls back asleep, but yeah. But we go into mostly two POVs of 2 perverts getting their asses beat right now for the fact that Issei hasn't shown up. The Candle Girls are just beating the shit out of the 2 perverts, finally managing to get them. Of course, this is where a lot of shit happened that day, but Issei didn't show up because he didn't give a damn. Meh. This is where Issei then gets out of his bed. It's already like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. He didn't really care. And of course, this is where he gets out of his bed, kind of wearing still pajamas somewhat. But of course, he feels hungry and a little thirsty. So of course, he goes to the store real fast. But yeah, when he's going to the store, it's not 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's kind of like 5. Well, it's kind of like 6 to 7 o'clock. It's about to turn dark, and of course, Issei's rushing to the store real fast to just kind of get some shit and kind of eat and then go back to sleep. But yeah, or play some video games because he does play video games. This is where, well, Issei noticed a situation with a fallen angel just killing someone on the spot. Mostly someone that Issei noticed this person once in a while on the full fucking blue moon because he just doesn't pay attention to anyone. But mostly it's actually one of the Kendall girls. And it's none other than a brownish hair girl, or not brownish hair girl, pinkish hair girl with brownish eyes. This is where, well, her name was Catherine, if Issei can remember. But he kind of noticed a fallen angel just fly away. Mostly this fallen angel had kind of 6 wings. And of course, it was none other than it looked to be like some kind of pretty boy that he faced and other things. But he kind of already switches his magic from his face to kind of look normal. But yeah, he noticed Catherine was slowly dying, and this is where Catherine said, "I wish I can get a life." This is where Issei walks up to her. He knows that this is Catherine, and he can save her, or just ignore her. Issei said, "I'm not a hero, so don't fucking thank me later." This is where Issei said, "Oh, so don't be annoying." This is where, well, Catherine's POV is saying, "Is that Issei's voice?" She cracked her eye open for once, and noticed Issei's hand, well, mostly going closer to her, and she said, "I can't do anything. He's going to." This is where she feels weird until she opened her eyes, and this is where she noticed one thing. She is back to better, back to normal. Actually, when she kind of did close her eyes for a second because she was already dying, she kind of opened her eyes because she felt back normal and felt different. Like, she felt a little bit stronger, but of course, this is where she noticed Issei walking away. He had his hand back into his mostly glove. He's just walking away without a care in the world. This is where, well, she was confused. She kind of felt her body just in case mostly anything happened. But of course, nothing happened. She was wearing a kind of beautiful dress because she was on a date with someone. But of course, the date went wrong, and of course, it was a fallen angel trying to kill her. Of course, the fallen angel wasn't expecting Issei to come out of nowhere and just do that shit, but whatever. This is where, well, a paper flies by Issei, and it was none other than, what's it called, a magic circle that was supposed to revive Catherine when she died, but of course it never did because, well, Issei was just there using his ability. Yeah, Issei just fucked over whoever was trying to do this. So of course, this is where Issei noticed a magic circle. He knows about magic and other things, but yeah, he never really tried his magic because he doesn't give them. But of course, where Issei, he kind of just starts walking away. Of course, before going to the store, he knows that there's a bridge and there's a pond, and mostly a river underneath that place. But yeah, this is where, well, he's walking to the bridge, which Catherine kind of follows because she's confused. This is where, well, she looks around herself because she noticed that Issei was holding a paper. But of course, it was that weird circle paper that she mentioned got from some weird looking cosplayer. And of course, where, well, she noticed Issei kind of being near the bridge. This is where Issei then uses some of his magic to kind of, well, bring out some people. To bring a lot of people out. But before, what's it called? They can actually spawn in. They all kind of did spawn in. They all just appear with a magic circle. But, well, one thing is for sure. When they all appear, it was a red-haired girl and also a red-haired girl with kind of greenish, bluish eyes. And a girl with kind of purplish hair, but she had kind of violet eyes. Or, not violet. She kind of had, what's it called, magenta eyes. And this is where, well, when they both kind of appear, they both kind of wanted eyes seeing Issei. Issei looks at them and says, "Bye-bye." That's where Issei just didn't care. This is where, or not bye-bye, he just looks at them once, didn't really care, and just walked away. This is where Catherine wanted her eyes seeing both, what's it called, Rias and Akano spawn out of nowhere from that paper, just appear, and they're falling down to their doom. Yeah, into the water. This is where both of them want their eyes because they see Issei, the person that they weren't actually entirely targeting. Well, they were going to target him this day. It's just He didn't show up at school anytime. He just didn't appear. Now he's right in front of them, and yet he just tossed the paper, knowing damn well what they are, or probably know what they are, and just bye bye. Yeah, they fell into the water in an instant. This is where Issei chuckles and says, "Stupid devils." This is where Issei chuckles a little bit, which actually creeped out Catherine a little bit, but this is where she kind of accidentally got a little bit turned on from the fact that Issei isn't normal. He is kind of special than normal. First of all, he does chuckle, and of course, instead of being emotionless most of the time, he is kind of amused. He's actually laughing a little bit, chuckling, which isn't, it is creepy, but of course, just surprising that he actually knows how to laugh. Because Catherine does know that mostly when they beat the shit out of Issei, they know that they hurt him pretty bad, but they know that he's considered one of the trio of perverts, but yet, he doesn't do anything. He doesn't show up with what they call the other two. He just kind of is there in their convenience. Of course, she's surprised that Issei hasn't got a concussion from all the attacks because, yeah. But of course, she's wondering if maybe the same ability that he's been using on himself was actually used on her so she wouldn't die. This is where, well, she's confused, but this is where Issei, he's getting to the store, gets to the store, gets a ramen package, well, a couple of ramen packages, a couple of drinks, and this is where he's going home. This is where, well, yeah, he has the money, don't worry about that. This is where, well, Issei says, time to go home, time to never deal with the school again, and 1 month. 1 month entirely to not deal with the school. Ah, my parents can just take vacations on a daily. They can keep doing that. I don't mind. Issei said to himself quietly. This is where Catherine mentioned over here, and this is where she was actually surprised that mostly Issei's parents are right now on vacation, and Issei is thinking of this as a vacation also because he's literally just gonna ditch school. He doesn't care. This is where, well, Catherine kind of accidentally stumbled upon something, which made Issei kind of turn around very fast, confusedly, and sees nothing. This is where Issei said, huh, well, I should probably be going home then. This is where Issei kind of starts running off really fast. This is where Catherine was surprised to see Issei gone. This is where she then kind of gets out of the alleyway and kind of like looks around, and this is where she says, where did he go? Damn it, he lost him. This is where Issei was behind her and said, boo. This is where Catherine jumps out. Well, mostly just jumped out of her skin because in an instant, because she was surprised in an instant when Issei appears behind her. This is where Issei just looked at her with an emotionless gaze. But when she fell down, she was just scared in an instant. Issei just chuckles a little bit, saying, what an interesting girl. Why the hell are you following me? This is where, well, Catherine's like, I wasn't following you. You know it's kind of illegal to follow someone. Isn't that stalking or something? This is where, well, Catherine went in her eyes and said, I thought you didn't pay attention to law class. I don't. Well, I do, but I don't. You don't really need to know and why I do or don't. I just need it sometimes to get out of trouble stuff, but yeah. Like those two idiots trying to harass someone, but yeah. This is where, well, Catherine was surprised when Issei calls his two friends idiots. Issei said, at least I can get a bunch of evidence on them and just throw them into jail when we graduate. Maybe you should help me with that. This is where Issei said towards Catherine. Catherine said, wait, you're trying to throw them into jail? I thought you were friends with them. Friends? I don't really care. Friends aren't needed in my life that much. So, I'd rather throw them into jail. They've been just nothing but pricks in my life. The only good thing about them is that they've been spreading rumors, and if my population isn't up, or any of that, then I won't be bothered and it'll be actually a quiet, peaceful life in high school. But it doesn't matter. Them using me to literally kind of get hit and hurt and most of the time, yeah, I don't like that, so I'm gonna throw them into jail when, well, I graduate. Even if they try to change, I still have so much scummy evidence of what they do most of the time. And besides, if this all shit kind of gets illegal, well, in the near future, well, they're getting screwed so hard. By me or the prisoners in the prison. That's where Issei has an evilish smile. But of course, Catherine can't see, but of course, she gets kind of unnerved with Issei. This is where, well, Issei said, well, other than that, you should probably be going to your house and not bothering me. Don't thank me, I'm not a hero, and don't fucking annoy me in school or any of that. This is where, well, Catherine was surprised with Issei's tone, but this is where, well, she nodded dumbly, and this is where Issei starts walking away. Issei kind of gets home, he cooks up some ramen, he gets one of the drinks because he kind of just bought some 7-Up, or not some 7-Up, some Coke, and he just starts drinking that. But yeah, this is where he's eating the ramen while drinking Coke, but yeah. This is where, well, he's eating some miso ramen, okay? Yeah. But that's not the point. We go into mostly the weekend, and of course, Issei really didn't do anything, but sometimes train with his ability. This is where, well, we go into the next day. Issei, he does show up to Monday by just ditching the whole day and not caring. This is where, well, Issei is kind of getting towards his 6th hour. He gets in it, he gets through it. He then gets into a 7th hour. He gets through it also. But before leaving, he knows that people are actually watching him from a faraway place. And Issei just looks toward that place. And he knows that a lot of people are actually keeping an eye on him. Not just these certain devils that he did throw into the river, which they're probably still pissed. But there's actually a couple of other people watching him that are supernatural. Not just devils, because not these certain 2 devils, but another 2 devils. Some fallen angels, a yokai, mostly some yokais that are actually different species, not just like, what's it called, fox species, but other different types. But also vampires, werewolves, and other things. But yeah, this is where, well, he says this, why am I getting target? Just because I threw the 2 devil eruses, or not even 2 devil eruses, the 2 devils, one being an erus and the other one being the serpent, into the river. I'm literally getting target. So annoying. This is where Issei was actually about to start leaving out of the school premise, but of course decides to take a different way because he knows that in the front of the school there's going to be lots of people. But yeah, this is where Issei then takes another way by going into the forest and just going to jump the fence or whatever, or destroy the fence and kind of just walk through it. But yeah, this is where, well, we go into Issei kind of doing that, but this is where, well, Issei kind of got blocked by a guy with kind of having, well, mostly reddish hair. Reddish orangey hair. And this is where, well, he has reddish orangey eyes. And this is where, well, he has a sword behind him. And this is where, when he turns around, he sees Issei. And this guy seems to kind of be somewhat of an exorcist because he has a cross, but it's kind of orangey red. This is where Issei says, who the hell are you? This is where the person says, huh? You're not a devil. You're just human. I don't feel any supernatural being from you. Well, except for one, but that's weird. But it's none of your business, human. Just go away. This is where, well, he says this. No can do. I'm just trying to leave through that, what's it called? Well, mostly cut that you just made over there. I'm just trying to not deal with people. So if you don't mind me, if I can just walk through that cut in that gate, and can I just go or something? This is where, well, most of the person say, the cut. You're just going to leave through here. You don't even know me. You don't even know if I'm going to attack you or not. Issei says, well, I'm not supernatural. Huh. Then again, I did say that out loud. It's pretty bad if a human knows about the supernatural. It would be even worse if that person decided to spread the supernatural to the humans. So, well, in the name of God, I guess I will have to execute you. Issei said, huh? Execute me? This is where, well, the person appeared right in front of Issei, slashing him. And this is where, well, Issei won his eyes. This is where Issei fell down to the ground. This is where, well, the person says, in the name of God, I hope you will be born or reborn into a new life and forget about the supernatural. This is where he's walking away. But of course, this is where, well, he almost got shot at. And this is where, well, he then jumped away because it was very close. Or not even close, it was far. But this is where, well, the person appears to some kind of gun. And she seems to be that goth girl that mostly Issei noticed. Which Issei did open one of his eyes and noticed her. This is where, well, she was surprised to see Issei on the ground. This is where she then asked to call the person and why he did that. This is where, well, the person says, oh, I see. You're an exorcist. But you're also one of those Pacific, what's it called, creations of the church. What were you, a Nikkei? I think that's what they call you. Yeah. Something like Goddess of Victory War or something like that. And why are you here? Unless your parents decide to bring you here. I don't know why you're with the devils and fallen angels, but I'm just here to execute them at all costs. This is where, well, the person named Maida says, why would you do that? Are you with the church? No. I know who you are. You're a rogue church. Well, a rogue member, church member. This is where the person chuckles and says, yes, I am. Oh no, that's your name, isn't it? Yes, it is. Now, if you don't mind me, I'm going to kill you and anyone else that gets in my way. I'm going to try to kill the 2 exorcists that are in the school. This is where, well, Issei's on the ground, kind of bleeding. And this is where Issei says, well, I'm going to die. This is where someone appears saying, do you want to, well, you're going to live as my servant. This is where, well, Hono did turn around and sees, well, a red-haired girl. Of course, a red-haired girl does have a tick mark at seeing Issei literally dying. But of course, when, she was about to, like, well, use the palm piece onto him, Issei notices that, yeah, hell no. This is where Issei decides to kind of take his, like, glove off his hand because he's still moving. And this is where, well, Issei then touches his body to kind of, well, reform it. And this is where Issei says, yeah, no, go away. This is where he managed to push Rias away, and Rias was surprised. Issei says, go away. I don't want to turn into a devil, so fuck that. This is where, well, mostly Hono was actually rushing towards Rias and says, you die, red hair. I know who you are, Rias Gamery. This is where, well, Mita won her eyes, but before even Hono even touching, Rias, Issei says, and you bastard, you're quite annoying. This is where Issei touches his left hand, and of course reform it into having 3 hands entirely, grabbing Hono in an instant, mostly from the face, the arms, mostly the arms that had the sword to kind of block it, and then the leg, and this is where, well, or mostly the stomach area, and just smash him to the ground in an instant. This is where Issei reform his hand back to normal and says, you're so fucking annoying, asshole. Hope you fucking die in an instant. This is where Hono managed to jump back and says, ugh, I don't know why the hell you did that. I don't know how you're still alive. Luckily, I almost kill you, and you managed to heal yourself and not turn into a devil. So I guess I, well, applaud that? I don't know how to say any of that. This is where, well, which is confusing because how did he do any of that? This is where, well, Rias is surprised to see Issei doing this. This is where Issei says, don't know. Issei then takes off his other, like, glove and just touches the ground in an instant, both of his hands touching the ground. And this is where Issei says, don't know, you're gone, and disappear from my sight. This is where Issei, the ground started rumbling and a bunch of, like, spikes started appearing, rushing straight to Hono. Hono could not react in an instant. This is where Hono did try to cut off some of the spikes, but this is where some of them managed to stab him in the back, and this is where he goes, he's coughed up some blood, but this is where multiple spikes are right now through his body, piercing him like he was some kind of, well, he's getting crucified, but yeah. This is where, well, he's all bloody, and of course, Hono did try to use his sword, but this is where he couldn't. This is where Issei walks up to him, and this is where Issei touches him and explodes him in an instant with blood. This is where Issei says, fuck your shit. This is where, well, Issei says, never fucking deal with me again. Whatever, I took your powers anyway. This is where, well, Issei, when he can use reform and destroy, when he destroys something, he can actually store it up, their powers, just to use them later, but yeah. This is where, well, Issei then kind of just puts back his both fingerless gloves, or not even fingerless gloves, mostly not fingerless gloves. He kind of was about to put back his gloves until Rhea stopped him by kind of questioning and what he is exactly. Issei kind of yawns and says, you know what, I'll go get more gloves later. Fuck it, you can keep them. This is where Issei goes up to the fence, destroys the fence in an instant, and walks away. This is where, well, Rhea says, what about your gloves? I'll buy some later. Fuck it. I don't care if I have to kill someone just to take their gloves. It's not my fault. I don't really care about human life. This is where, well, Issei walks away entirely. Without a care in the world, but yeah. Rhea right now has a tick mark and annoyment in how Issei is so calm, cool, and collected. But of course, the fact that she's also blushing from the fact that mostly she was saved by him, even though she tried to reincarnate him to a devil. Of course, he was kind of cool looking when he decided to just throw them into the fucking river, her and Akano. But yeah, this is where Akano appears next to her and says, well, that was interesting. So, Rias, what do we do? Rias says, I don't think he's the type of person to actually help us. I tried to revive him just to make him my servant, but I don't think he's the type of person to actually care about, well, mostly helping us. This is where, well, Akano says, I see. Well, what do we do? Well, we should probably just do something else. I don't know. Well, we should probably Ask him later. Promise. Maybe, I don't know, you can probably seduct him. This is where, well, mostly Maida says, don't even try. He doesn't care about any of that. This is where, well, Ria says, and how do you know? I might have tried to do that also. This is where, well, they switch up and say, well, then they must say that you're not that good looking. This is where, well, Maida scoffs and say, shut the hell, you red hair bitch. Now, if you don't mind me, I'm gotta go. I gotta report this to the, well, what they call church about rogue exorcists kind of coming in. And especially being some of those of the special abilities. Because Hono wasn't just any regular exorcist. He was someone who can actually use fire. And had a fire, what's it called? Fire sword that was able to kind of use similar to holy properties. Don't know how Issei managed to destroy him or whatever. I don't even know what happened, but whatever. Does it work? Well, they said fine. She already leaves, but yeah, she just jumps over the fence and kind of just runs off, but yeah. Not to follow Issei, but Issei kind of already disappears to just go home, but yeah. But other than that, I'm going to leave it off here for part 1 of What If Issei Had Overhaul. But other than that, bye, see you, and yeah.